Hello, welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and today we're talking about how to customize the way you organize. As humans, we like to customize our things. I went online and started searching for things people customize, and I found all these fun license plates. I found these bobbleheads you can get customized to look just like all your friends. Stickers, these really cool bathtubs and showers, bicycles, of course, cars are always customized, toothbrushes, camper vans. There's all these fun things people paint and decorate and personalize, right? And I love it. But have you considered how powerful it could be for you to customize the way you organize? And you may already be doing this with stickers and planners and things like that. But today's podcast is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to share a little more about the context-based next actions list, and then I'm going to give you 3 questions to help you customize your next actions list. And then I'll share some examples that will hopefully inspire you to jump in and get started and to make your system your own in a way that helps you so it feels like magic as you're getting all the little tasks done that you may have wanted to procrastinate. Now, I used to let a lot of time slip by, and I wound up checking my phone like 50 times a day. Have you ever done that? Are you like nodding your head saying, I do this all the time? And it's not that we have to be productive every single minute. And I like to check my phone, and I need to check my phone sometimes. And I don't always want to be working. But when I applied the ideas that I'm sharing today, I started actually using those little pockets of time better. And it became really easy to get things done that really matter to me. So I'm excited to show you how. All right, so part 1 of the podcast is just to talk a little bit more about the context-based next actions list. Now, we use an acronym for this, so you'll see us writing CBNAL in our social media posts or in the Facebook groups a lot. And people always say, what is that? So context-based next actions list. So context-based means it's a list that is organized by where you are when you're doing it. So it's something like home, phone, errands, computer, and to discuss, like having a discussion with like a spouse, business partner, etc. But a next action is something that's, like a 10-minute task that isn't dependent on anything else getting done first. And it might be related to a project, or it might just be a one-off task. My next actions list is a weekly list, and I typically get all the next actions done by the end of the week. And then I get a new list. I use a little paper bookmark in my planner, but you could definitely do this digitally. And it's very simple, and it works beautifully with your calendar and your routines list and your current projects list. I've probably spoken about the next actions list hundreds of times on this podcast. But sometimes people crowd the list and don't actually check things off. And there are some reasons for that we've discussed in the past, but one of the reasons may be because that list needs to be customized a little more. So now let's jump into part 2 of the podcast, which is just featuring 3 questions that you can ask yourself in order to enable you to customize your list. So question number 1, I would invite you to ask, when do I typically have an open space? And maybe some sub-questions for this one could be, where am I when this happens? What time of day? When do I usually just take out my phone? Like, that's a really good helper to say, when do I pull my phone out? When do I just zone out? When do I sit there and think, oh, I have nothing to do? So that's question number 1, when do I have open space? Question number 2, what kinds of tasks could I do during that time? If it's something at home, you could say, oh, these are things on my computer or phone. Maybe you want to write more handwritten thank you notes. Maybe you need to do some mending. I don't know. There's all kinds of things we could be doing. Could be work or personal, but just asking what kinds of tasks could work during that time. And then question number 3, is there any prep work I would need to do to set myself up for success? Okay, because sometimes you may need to take certain things with you or have certain things available, that type of thing. All right, let's go into part 3 of the podcast now. We're just zipping right along. These are just some examples that may be helpful for you. Okay, so The way I'm thinking about it is you could have your next actions list with our starter categories of home, phone, errands, computer, and to discuss. But then you could add, maybe a couple more contexts based on your life. And these are just some additional ideas. So one, I might put a little picture of a bicycle, okay? In my own life, here's how this would work. I like to go riding my bike with Eric, and we've been riding in this nearby canyon along a river. It's been so awesome. And I said, hey, Eric, what if we did some work while we were there at the end point and then turned around and rode back home? And what if I packed up my breakfast and have, breakfast and work time in this beautiful canyon? That would just be amazing. So if we maybe go ride our bikes a couple times a week, I don't know which days, it kind of depends on the weather and how we're feeling and what's going on that day, I could say, when I ride my bike, I could do these kinds of tasks, and I could have a little list ready. And then as far as prep work, I could say, in the backpack I take with me when I ride my bike, I'm going to include a clipboard and some paper and some pens and maybe a book I want to read, something like that. So that way I'm prepared to do those tasks when I am in that context. All right, another one could be a little picture of an airplane. Let's imagine you travel for work or for personal and you're traveling a lot. Let's say you're flying, 2 or 3 times a week or maybe just once a week or whatever. But you could say, okay, whenever I am on an airplane, I have time to do certain things. What could I do instead of just watching the movie or just sitting there, eating my snacks? So you could say, I want to catch up on reading through all my magazines and catalogs. I want to write notes. I want to read these books. And you could just decide what you want to do while you're on the airplane. Another, you could have a little picture, a little image of a sleeping baby. When our children were sleeping, there were certain tasks that I just waited to do when they were asleep because like ironing, I never would iron when they were awake, but when they're sleeping, okay, now I can get out the ironing board, right? And so you could just say, okay, if baby's awake, here are the things I'll do at home. If baby's asleep, here are the things I'll do. And then maybe if there are some things you need to pull out of the baby's room to have available if you're working on a project that was stored there, that type of thing. That's the type of prep I'm talking about. All right, another little image I made was a letter W. That stands for when I'm waiting for someone. Eric and I try to align our schedules since we work from home together. So we like to exercise together. We like to be able to go on walks with Sunny together. We like to kind of organize our day so that we're, kind of in alignment. But typically in the morning, one of us needs to wait for the other. So either, he's waiting for me because I didn't, needed a little extra time doing my study or something in the morning, or I didn't sleep great. And so I'm, waking up later or something, or I'm waiting for him because finally I woke up and then he's upstairs in the office doing things, that type of stuff. But I found what happened is I would say, okay, Eric, I'm ready to go. And he's like, okay, give me a couple minutes. And then I'd just be sitting there like, well, I don't know how many minutes I have. So I started thinking, well, what could I do while I'm waiting for Eric? And so I have now a little list of like 5 or 6 things, little tasks I do around the kitchen that these are my waiting for Eric tasks. And so I just got to have that ready. But if that was like a regular occurrence and maybe I was waiting outside of his work, if I was picking him up and I had time in the car, I might choose different tasks. Okay. And then another little picture is of a book to represent reading. I put a little picture of a book on my next actions list every week, and I just put down the books that I want to read. So when I do have reading time, I can choose from those. Another is a little arrow that points upward, and that represents to pray about. I heard about this from one of our community members, and I love that idea because if there's something I'm kind of worried about, and I can't really think of a next action to do anything on it, I could just say, I'm going to pray about that. And I add it to my list. And then I was thinking another one could be a little picture of a battery that's like low battery, meaning when I'm low energy. Because I hear from a lot of people who say, sometimes I get home from work or I've had a busy day and now it's at night, but I don't want to turn on the TV and watch TV for 3 hours, but I don't feel like going and cleaning the garage. So you could have a little list of things you do when you're low energy. Or maybe if your health isn't great and you're going to have some time this week that's low energy, You could say, okay, when I'm low energy, here are these little tasks. Oh, I'm going to go through these pictures, or I'm going to call so-and-so, or I'm going to, read this thing or listen to this audiobook. I don't know. You just have your list of ideas. But I love being prepared for that. So if you want to just rest, fine. But if you're thinking, I've got enough energy to do something, now you know what you could do. And then one final one is a little picture of a TV. Let's say that there are people in your household who enjoy watching TV and they want you with them, but you're not really interested in the show. You could have a few things that you just do during TV time. So maybe it's a craft, maybe it's mending, maybe it's some computer work you can just kind of be doing while you're watching the show. I don't know. But you could say, these are my TV tasks that don't need a ton of energy, so I can still kind of watch the show, but I can do it while I'm there with my loved one. So anyway, those are just a few ideas. A recommendation, though, is just to keep your number of contexts reasonable, because I don't want to give all these ideas and say, now everyone needs 15 contexts, because then you're going to spend more time just looking through your list trying to find something to do than you'll actually spend just getting the thing done. The goal is to just make your list very short and then get it done by the end of the week. And so what we're looking for is the optimal number of contexts and the optimal number of tasks within those contexts collectively. Okay? But it will feel like your work gets done like magic. It's seriously so fun. I hope that you are enjoying the podcast, and I hope that you will have fun with your own customizations. If you want to come to the show notes page, you can leave a comment and let me know what you decided to do for your customization, or share your thoughts and ideas on other things that you have done to make your system work for you. I would love it. If you are not part of our Arise membership yet, we would love to have you in there. We have so much fun with our Arisers, and we take a different topic each month to dive deep. And what happens is, over time, each one of us starts waking up more excited and going to bed more content. So please check that out at learndobecome.com/arise. And if you are not yet a member of our Steps to Everyday Productivity program and want to build your Command Central, come to learndobecome.com/step, and you can take our free training, How to Finally Stop Drowning in Piles. You can find Learn, Do, Become on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. We're on Pinterest. Like, we're all over. So search Learn, Do, Become wherever you enjoy social media, enjoy gathering online. We would love to be able to connect more with you. All right, have an amazing day. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.